All right, welcome, kings and queens. Today we are talking Love and Marriage Huntsville. Y'all, what in the Love and Marriage Huntsville drama behind the scenes, just whirlwind of a mess is going on. I feel like our job as YouTube content creators is to cover the content. What the hell is going on? That's what I want to know. And maybe I'm a day late and a dollar short. I catch up when I can. But I tell you what, we're going to talk about it live immediately following this review. And then we're going to go behind the wall for members only so that you can really say what the hell you need to say. But, child, I guess. What are your thoughts on this past week's episode? Let me start all over because there's just so much going on. It's like, can we get a break? Can we allow the cast to be great? Can we allow the season to get started before the bullshit kicks in? But today we talking Love and Marriage Huntsville season 7, episode 5, y'all. What did you think about this week's episode? Let's cook and let's talk. For those of you who are just tuned in or if you're new to the channel, welcome to the palace. I am Queen Sheba. I cover a variety of hot topics specific to reality television, but most importantly, I hone in on the psychological and the behavioral traits of the Black experience.
Subscribe now.
All right. I see a lot of you were really happy about Martell calling Marsau's ass to the carpet. I don't want to waste a lot of time. This will not be a long Love and Marriage Huntsville review. Like I said, from my opinion as a content creator, there wasn't a lot that I could take from it, but I got some pieces of it, but I was finally happy with it. Who orchestrated this scene? I want to know that from a production standpoint. Who set this up? Bravo. It's about damn time. Was in charge of the scene, I appreciate it because there's a lot of times that you have put the women under fire. You've allowed the men to body slam, DDT, put them in headlocks. But we have yet to see the men go at each other and hold each other accountable. So, whomever the production lead was for this scene, I appreciate you. Thank you. Finally, for thinking outside the box. So let's get into the scene between. I'm going to jump around. You know what? Let me back up because I normally give you all a rundown. I'm going to cover Martell and Marsau's scene. I'm also going to cover Latisha and the kids in that apartment, and then I'm going to make my way very briefly to Stormi. Very briefly to Stormi, something she said when they did a B-roll. They roll back the tapes, and I'm going to wrap it up and close it up, believe it or not, with Andrea and Kimmy. Andrea, for those of you that are not up to speed on the episodes or have chosen not to watch, Andrea is a friend of the show for Kimmy. Got it? Martell and Marsau, Latisha and the kids, Stormi very briefly, Andrea and Kimmy to close it out. Let's get started. So yeah, now Martell. Marsau. Marsau. Marsau ain't never put no respect on your name. So my question to you is, what was the boiling point? Because he's been laughing and playing in your face for quite some time, honey, a number of years. Ever since you've gotten a divorce. And actually, if I could be fair, if we go back to season 1, he was calling the shots. Go back and start watching, y'all. Now that you know what you know, what you know. If you knew then what you know now, you would be on a completely different wavelength. Go back and watch episode 1 of Love and Marriage Huntsville. They knew the entire time. They were playing in our faces. And if you really look at it strategically, Martell really never held no power. Marsau has always been the puppet master. I covered that last week. But I said that to say Marsau ain't never put no respect on your name. So what was the boiling point? He's been laughing and playing in your face since season 1. Okay. I wanted to say since your divorce, but if we go back and look, hmm, it's documented since season 1. And now he's kicking you all up in your rib cage because he knows financially you can't and you will not. You're not capable of doing anything about it. Okay? A man like yourself that would allow a Kizzy and a Keisha to come in and destroy his home because she humped up and down on him a few times when his wife wouldn't. That's not a man that you respect. That's not a man that most people would respect because the bigger and the larger picture is legacy, family, values. You let hoes be hoes, but you never let them infiltrate your territory, let alone your family. So Marceau ain't never put no respect on your name. And when I say a Kizzy and a Keisha, that's the same thing as when we say a Pookie and a Ray Ray. Kizzy and Keisha are female versions of Pookie and Ray Ray, okay? And Arion. Arion in this in this situation and in this scenario, yeah, that's Kizzy. You let Kizzy come up in your home and destroy everything that could have taken you to the next level as a man. And now you want somebody to put respect on your name? Nigga, put respect on your own name. Now, let me be fair, because I got to be fair and unbiased. And I got to give it, and then I got to, be fair. Now, I do applaud his efforts. I applaud the efforts of Martell finally standing up. However, I believe the only reason you stood up, Martell, is because Marceau pissed you off by rubbing it in your face and bragging publicly about how he didn't. No, bragging publicly about how he literally took scope from you with his eyes closed. Because that's pretty much what he's saying. But y'all, the finessing of it all, the finessing of it all. And I think that's what got you riled up, not the fact that he didn't want Melody to speak because you kind of didn't want Melody to be there. If the truth be told, because how come you didn't come out on that stage and speak when you had the opportunity to do so? You peeked behind that curtain, you saw what it was, and you decided to jump ship and abort mission. So I feel like only because Marceau is exploiting you publicly, now you feel some kind of way. Okay. And basically, what Marceau has been saying to the Fletchers is that Martell fumbled his own business. Yeah, believe it or not, to the popcorn man. You fumbled your damn business to a popcorn man. Explain that. How does that happen? The guy from the movie theater took your business away from you with your eyes closed. He didn't take Melody's business, he took your business. And now he's laughing about it all the way to the bank at first. Now he's laughing about it in your face. Okay? I don't believe Marcel. I'm going to you. So please, Marcel, don't be jumping for joy too soon because I really don't believe all of the things that you called out on social media that you were doing these things successfully. Because if you were, they would not have there would not have been a need for you to be in a movie theater. So don't play with us. If you had all of this going on successfully, as you claim, with all of these apartment buildings and condos and all of this shit you own that was generating profit, sir, sir, you would not have been in that movie theater as the popcorn man. Don't play with us. Okay. And those things would still be relevant today. You would have talked about the profit that you made, but according to records, allegedly, these were dilapidated, rundown apartment pieces that were in direct violation of city code. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. Okay. But Martell said something in his back and forth banter with Marcel. He said, now listen, if Melody wanted to speak, she would have spoke. And to me, this opens up the door for discussion between us, between myself as a content creator and also you as a viewer. He said a lot. He said, let's not pretend that you was in a position of power where you were calling shots. Don't mislead the audience and make it feel like, no, I made the call that she couldn't speak at my event, which told me, right, you really didn't have the final say so, Marcel. Tell if I could sum it up, what he was saying to Marcel is, listen, don't play with me. Don't play with us. You had no visibility. Melody was a pillar in the community of North Huntsville. Nobody knew you. All they knew is that you was the man in the movie theater. Don't play with us. We put you on. And had it not been for Melody and I shifting your trajectory in business and aligning you with our connections, you wouldn't be where you are if we just talk from a construction and property preservation standpoint. But since you want to get technical, let's talk about why you're here today on this show. That was all Melody. So put some respect on her. Put some respect on my name. Now, let me pause before I go on. How do y'all feel about that? Do you feel like Martell finally came correct? Are y'all happy with the way he showed up for his family finally? Or do you feel like he only did it because it directly impacted his image, his self-esteem, and the way people could possibly view him on this platform? Because I feel like Martell was saying, because what you not going to do is clown her talent when your talent was that of a popcorn popper. That's what I feel. Now, I know that Martell, in my opinion, showed up because Marceau directly insulted him and laughed at him. And one thing I can honestly say about narcissists, allegedly, is they don't like to be made fun of. But what are your thoughts? All right, so let's shift to this scene that they had with Latisha and the kids. And apparently, they went to maybe one of her assistants' home to set up the kids pretending. Yeah, pretending to stuff orders or fulfill orders. And y'all, this storyline is so dry. I feel like Letitia's replicating the setup that Melody has in her home. Remember, we used to receive the opportunity to see Melody's children become directly hands-on and involved with the assembly, and Melody has a really robust system. Prior to Martell disrupting the children's presence on social media, we used to be able to see the Eminem kids, really get involved with their mothers, packing and shipping. But because of that, I guess Latisha may have felt like, you know what, they're not going to remember that. They're not that smart as viewers. I can plug my kids in and pretend that my children are doing this and they have been doing this. It felt rushed, it felt put together, and also, this is like a telltale sign to me. This isn't something that her kids are familiar with, or otherwise they would have jumped right into action. You had to show them. This was staged, very set up, disingenuine, and I get that you're scrapping and you're looking for items to bring to the table for reality TV. Bring your reality. If your kids jumped up from that table so fast when their dad came in, they were not interested in pretending. See, that's one thing about kids. They're going to keep it real. Kids and pets, they're going to keep it real. Your kids they were not interested in pretending to help you. So let's not do that with kids. Let's not exploit kids just to get a check because they'll always blow your spot up and blow your cover. And in my opinion, Marceau was somewhat embarrassed when he walked in and he started barking orders because he knew it looked a fool and it was a mess. And your oldest daughter, she wasn't feeling it. She said, I just want the money. Marceau has some strong genes because his oldest daughter looks just like her father. Damn, the Scots have some strong genes. Yeah. Another thing I noticed, and I wanted to say this, I was screaming, like saying Latisha through the screen. Latisha, your children are of age to be able to speak for themselves. Parents, one of the quickest ways to debilitate a child is to not allow them to speak for themselves. Please stop speaking for your children. Please allow them to speak for themselves. It's going to require a level of patience on your end, a level of pausing. Let them gather their thoughts because Marceau actually directed a question to his oldest daughter. And Latisha, you spoke for them. And not only did you speak for your daughters, I noticed that you spoke for the lady. I think her name is Angela. Don't do that. Allow your children to speak for themselves because when we step in and we start speaking for the kids, It actually stunts their growth and it stalls their communication skills. This whole setup was a mess. This entire scene was a mess. They knew it, we knew it, and Marsau knew it. Okay. Now, Marsau came in and he's looking at this. I know exactly what he's thinking. Marsau wasn't thinking about the success of the kids, even though he tried to put on like he was. Marsau was thinking about shit. This is going to be embarrassing on TV. That's why he started saying, let's get an assembly line set up. Let's at least try to make it believable. Because Latisha, really, what this tells me is that you don't have a lot of business savvy and or experience in the business world. You didn't even know how to make this seem believable. Ah, really, production? Y'all, we can't do no better than this. When y'all are filming them, do you pause the camera and say, Tisha, this actually does not look believable. You say you got 175 orders, but you got 5 little glow bags sitting right here. How can we make this more believable? Should we set it up this way? Should we do it that way? Or do you just kind of stand back production and you've had enough like we have and you say, you know what, screw it. If they want to destroy their image, let them. Because this scene was an entire flop to me. Yeah, it was a mess. What it tells me as a viewer is more and more each and every day. What we're seeing with the sky to smoke and mirrors. Yeah. Let's move on from them. But did you catch when Latisha mentioned after the kids left the room, Latisha mentioned they start talking about the Black Expo and what Stormi did or did not do to Marcel and all of this. And Latisha says to him, did y'all catch this? She said, well, I really don't have a problem with Stormi. I actually like Stormi. He looked at her dead in her face and he said, I see no value in that relationship. Hmm. Just like you saw no value in Melody's business ventures, but you did before when Melody and Martell befriended you. So, my question to you, Marcel, is when you say you don't see value, is that equivalent to I can't use them, so they're not valuable to me? That's my first question. My second question to y'all is, do you see how he interferes with her relationships with other women? This man does not want this woman around any successful women. Point blank, period. Point blank, period. A Melody, a Stormi. And I know Stormi can be rough around the edges, but when we're talking about business sense, putting her in rooms and places and giving her the go ahead, blessing her relationships with other women that are above her, that could actually elevate her. He's not going for it. He don't want no parts of that. And that's very sassy of you, Lady Marsau. And I also caught him slipping during the bet on black scene. That also fell flat. Latisha and Marsau are just not it for me in business, promotional campaigns. It's not it. It's not given what you trying to make it give. But I caught him slipping because he actually stood behind a camera and attempted to direct his wife. And what he said to her was, stand there like a sexy single lady. And I thought that's a very interesting choice of words. Opposed to, hey baby, look sexy. Lean in like this. You were very specific. That's what we call it, product specific. You said look like a sexy single lady. Sir, single sexy like her makeup artist or the lady that you went to Africa with, allegedly? Let me quickly and briefly touch on Stormi. Y'all, Stormi dropped a bomb. It was during Latisha and Marsau's conversation. In the midst of the conversation with Latisha was asking Marsau, "Can you agree not to interfere?" Between my relationship with the ladies, they did a B-roll and they took us back to a conversation that had not aired between Latisha and Stormi, where Stormi says, candidly, well, let me back up. She was explaining to Latisha why the use of the word bitch was not a big deal to her because she said, candidly, I've been a bitch since I've been age 4. For me, Wow, this meant that from the moment she can recall up until the time that her memory could gather, age 4 is when it registered for her that her mother had been calling her out her name. When she could process it at age 4. That doesn't mean Betty didn't start before then. This is when she could process it. Now that's a damn shame, Betty. And this gives me a little bit more insight into why Stormi comes off as the way she comes off. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Stormi at all. I don't excuse her behavior, how she came into the show. I Now listen, I don't have a problem with her putting Marceau in his place, but it gives me a little bit more insight to why she speaks the way she does. Because her mother has been abusing her psychologically since she was in no, I ain't gonna even say since she was, before she was in kindergarten. That's a damn shame. No wonder why Betty is mean and ugly and hateful towards Melody, because Betty likes to break women down by assassinating them verbally. And I hate to say it, but Miss Betty, you're the type of old woman that should be treated accordingly. And here's what I mean by that, y'all. When you dealing with somebody who despises their own daughter since she was a baby, that's the type of old fool that you let have if and when they come after you because they know no boundaries. They fight to kill. They go for blood and you have no heart. You've been abusing her psychologically. She's never probably had psychological safety with you as her mother since she could ever recall. And that's sad. In my opinion, that's quite sad. But let's shift. I just wanted to call out that small thing that I noticed. Let's shift to Andrea and Kimmy. Yeah, this scene could have been better, in my opinion. It had potential. It could have been better if Kimmy's friend Andrea hadn't been so male identified. While they were talking, I was looking down, right? While Kimmy and Andrea were talking, I'm looking down, I'm getting my notes. And then I remember looking up at the television. And I'm like, damn, you're male identified to the point where you have no empathy for your friend. And here's what I mean by that. Many Black women already feel that they're at a disadvantage when it comes to Black men, right? Due to the number ratio. Well, what you mean by that, Queen Sheba? Here's what I mean. Stats show, the numbers show that there's more, that Black women outnumber Black men. Is it 7-1? Y'all said 7-1 or 8-1, right? And a lot of people buy into that notion. They buy into the notion, not a lot of people, a lot of women buy into the notion that good men, quote unquote, are scarce. And it causes some women to have a knee jerk reaction and put up with shit that they should not be putting up with. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time on the sex scene, Kimmy, because in my opinion, you and Maurice ain't got shit else to talk about, and y'all have really milked it. Now, back to the numbers ratio. I feel like the advice that Andrea gave was a fear-based reaction to pleasing your man, and I ain't like it. I did not like her advice to Kimmy, and I don't like the fact that her friend seems to be tone deaf when it comes to considering the minute details in the bigger picture. Kimmy's lack of sexual desire has everything to do with her chemo treatments and her cancer diagnosis. I'm going to pause there, Andrea. Friend, I'm going to pause there because I feel like you failed her horribly as a friend. Why in the hell are you bringing her sex toys and an effort? Why are you bringing her sex toys in an effort to do, for her to position herself to do what her mind, her body, and spirit isn't capable of doing at the moment? I'm over it, y'all. I really am. I'm so over women being dwindled down to their sexuality and their vaginas. And then you top it off as a friend and you come over with sex toys and you told her, well, you can always try a sexy photo shoot to please your man, to keep him happy. What happened to focusing on her health and her healing journey and encouraging her to listen to her body and take her time? What happened to praying for them. And really like hoping that Maurice would get it, that his wife is more than that. And this was a critical time for his wife. And he should be grateful that his wife is still here. If Maurice was a good man, Kimmy should not or would not be worried about him leaving and cheating because she has cancer. That's ultimately what it's coming down to. I'm worried that because I'm not up to par, that's a damn shame when a woman can't even get sick in peace because she feels threatened that he's going to leave and cheat on her. That's a damn shame. Y'all, if you think about the gravity of it all, and then you got a friend that come over and bring you sex toys and tell you, take your clothes off and go have a sexy shoot and give them a happy ending. No, bitch, I'm sick. I was sick. I'm just getting back to myself. I'm a pause there because that I didn't understand Andrea's notion. But then maybe I do when I say it's fear based. Okay? Maurice, you're an ass. The fact that your wife is carrying that heaviness on her back about you, trying to figure out ways that she can please you when she's not feeling up to par. Listen, if your husband is going to leave you because physically you're not in a spot because of a diagnosis, let him go. Andrea, your job is to be a good friend. Your job is not to force her to speed up her healing. The man has already forced sex on her while she had cancer. Come on now. What the hell kind of friend are you? And then I kind of probably would have been looking at her sideways like, girl, don't be trying to solution for my husband, solution for me as a friend. Because you were solutioning for Maurice, Andrea. Solution for this cancer to be fine and not return. How about that? Where y'all get these friends from? Kimmy's a big girl, Andrea. She knows what to do when her body is ready. Trust and believe. That's a big girl. That's a grown woman in her 50s. She don't need rah-rah sex talks when she's just happy to be here, sweetheart. She gets enough of that from Maurice. Girl, she needs you to be a friend. And next time, leave the pussy prep talks at home and focus on being a better friend in the moment.